A little lesson from your old Uncle Swanny here. You don't go parking said Ferrari in the middle of a downtown area where it might get dented or dinged or have a door open on it. Like, you're not taking a Ferrari to the grocery store and trying to squeeze it in right beside the rack where they put up the carts. You're not trying to take a Ferrari and run it out to maybe a college campus and park it in the commuter lot. You don't do that when you have a Ferrari. You don't take a Ferrari and drive it out to some sort of like demolition derby, even if you're not participating with your Ferrari, but put it in a parking lot at a demolition derby where it might get banged up or dented or destroyed for that matter. Well, so much for Uncle Swanny's sage advice. I've said it multiple times. I said it probably 2, 3, maybe 4 times yesterday. To the Jacksonville Jaguars, my message is simple. Do not start Big Trev the Giant Killer in 2021. Unless you want to have him potentially killed by some Giants. Then, by all means, run him out there, Urban. Look, this should not be a young man who you experiment with. And I get it. He's the number 1 overall draft pick. All of the money, all of the pomp and circumstance coming out of high school, coming out of college, heading into the NFL. I mean, everything that we've talked about with Trevor Lawrence since day one. Since day one. Everything we've talked about with Trevor Lawrence since day one has been that he's ready for the NFL. And he is. There's no question in my mind. Trevor Lawrence is ready for the NFL like a Ferrari is ready for a car race. But the problem is the rest of the team around him, what we used to call jalopies. Lots of jalopies. And unfortunately, Trevor Lawrence can't come out there and say it. He said, quote, "We got a great group." Gardner Minshew's been awesome, treating me really well. We've had a lot of conversations. He's been that guy I've been able to learn from, and CJ and Jake and all those guys. We're all together, you know. We're all on the same team. And at the end of the day, that's what's most important. Lawrence talked about getting better, got a bunch of guys putting in work. But you watch Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars on Monday night. If you had a chance to tune in and watch it, then you saw what I saw, which is a whole lot of ugly on offense. And I don't think it's going to get any better this year, and I don't see a reason to run your Ferrari out there. I just don't. And I'm going to be honest, I think fans, even the most ardent supporters of the Jacksonville Jaguars would be understanding if you just came out and said, listen, folks, we know this guy is the future. This guy is the franchise. And we're going to invest in that franchise by protecting him for a season as much as possible. Now, look, if Gardner Minshew got hurt and you had to play him, fine. But I cannot see how this is a good scenario for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I know it's not a good scenario for Trevor Lawrence based on what we've seen so far. Now, unless there's a magic elixir that happens to be drizzled into the water in Jacksonville, and these guys all of a sudden turn it around and they start looking sharp before the season kicks off, then yeah, I'll sit in the chair, eat my words all day, every day. But there is no chance, there's not a snowball's chance in a microwave that Trevor Lawrence makes it through this season unscathed, let alone knocked out of a game, given what I've seen from that offense in the preseason. There's a line in, I think, Christmas Vacation, right at the beginning, where Clark and Ellen are driving the kids down the hall, or driving the kids down the road. And Ellen looks at Clark and says, I don't want to spend our holidays dead. That would seem to be the appropriate phrase if you're Trevor Lawrence and you're sitting in the office with Urban Meyer right now. Coach, I'd love to play, but I don't want to spend the holidays dead. Urban Meyer said, quote, "We wanted him to earn it, as we do with every position. We felt he has. After Monday night's performance, it was good. Obviously not great. We didn't run the ball very well. I kind of, in my mind, had that deadline of the second preseason game. We kind of had to have somebody ready to play in week 3. So Lawrence is the guy. Would you make him the guy?" I mean, I kind of asked the question yesterday. They went with it. Nick's in the penalty box, and once again, Nick's in the house, sharing the show, trying to grow the program, trying to bring more people in. And anytime you try to expand this program without my express written consent, Nick, you get punished. You get sent into the penalty box. Nick, do you have it in writing for me expressly? I didn't think so. As a matter of fact, verbally, I've told you day after day after day, stop sharing the show, Nick. And anybody else is out there trying to share this program, just cut it out. Cut it out. Driving me crazy. Appreciate it, Nick. Thanks for sharing the program, man. Linda's in the house. She's been known to share the show too. She has been known to do it. Oh, she shared it with 62,000 of her Clemson Sports Talk friends. Glad to have more and more people jumping in, chiming in. I saw some folks over on YouTube yesterday saying, man, how they like the show. We're really trying to grow it, putting together these segments for you. If you haven't seen that, do it and go hit subscribe over there as well. My goal, let's see, we're closing in on like 400 subscribers. Let's get this bad boy, with your help, let's get it to 1,000 before the college football season. That's an unrealistic expectation. Let's get it to 1,000 before game 6. How about that? Halfway through. Can we get to 1,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel? Again, before the 6th game of the college football campaign. Now, if you're wondering about quarterbacks in their first year in the NFL, when you're talking about the number 1 overall selection, there was a little note in the end of ESPN's article on Trevor Lawrence that said none of the past 13 quarterbacks selected number 1 have won their first NFL start. You got to go all the way back to 2002 when David Carr was drafted by the Texans, and ultimately they won his first game at quarterback. Now, a lot of people out there were critical of Urban Meyer for not naming Trevor Lawrence the starter sooner. But again, to me, listen, first off, and Trevor knows this, just because you're the number 1 pick doesn't mean you're the anointed one that gets a chance to be the guy. For that matter, Trevor Lawrence wasn't the guy the minute he rolled into Clemson. Now, you and I and everybody else listening to this show knows how I feel about that. I truly think that was probably the last time that, quote, seniority was the reason that maybe Clemson left a player out there on the gridiron out of the gates. Like and it's hard. And I get why it was hard for Dabo Swanny back then. I understand why it was hard for Dabo Swanny back then. Because, for one thing, Kelly Bryant had just led you in the previous season into the college football playoff as the number 1 seed. Like, it's not as if Deshaun Watson returned for his senior season, took Clemson into the college football playoff. Clemson, doesn't matter if they won or lost to Alabama or whatever at that point. Just say they lost 24-6 like they actually did. And then the following year, it was Kelly Bryant getting his first go at it, and he didn't have any other experience, and Trevor Lawrence rolls in. Then maybe at that point, Lawrence, even as the underclassman, maybe at that point, it's a little bit easier to look at Kelly Bryant and go, you know, Kelly, we appreciate what you've done for the program, but this new guy, listen up, Woody. Buzz Lightyear's pretty doggone cool. Sorry, buddy. There's a new toy in town. And so with that being said, for all the parents out there going, yeah, I get that reference, Swanny. With that being said, I do think about the fact that there was not necessarily bad baggage, but positive baggage that Kelly Bryant brought with him into that camp, that first season with Trevor Lawrence on campus. And that was that he had just taken a Clemson team minus Deshaun Watson to being the number one team, or the number one ranked team in the college football playoff the previous year. That's hard to be, that's like Woody. I don't think Woody the Cowboy had a last name, but that's like Woody the Cowboy having some grand award, some new upgrade, and then all of a sudden Buzz Lightyear shows up. Maybe they don't make the switch. Maybe you're still interested in keeping the old guy around. So again, where we sit today is not necessarily a similar situation to that, but Lawrence had to go earn it. And I will give Urban Meyer credit on that front. He didn't just hand it to him. Lawrence earned it at Clemson. Lawrence earned it now in the NFL. But I don't think I want him to have it. Much as I want to tune in. As a matter of fact, I can make an argument that with the news that Travis Etienne got hurt yesterday, when that news came out, essentially half of the reason you, me, and a bunch of other people are going to tune in to watch the Jacksonville Jaguars is already out for the season. So, in my eyes, just go ahead and have the clean sweep. Not only do you get the benefit of not having Lawrence in your system, you get the benefit of not having ETN in your system this year, which means essentially well, not essentially, but absolutely, your first two picks of the NFL draft aren't available to help you out. And the bad part of this is, and I don't think this is such a crazy concept, the bad part of this, in my opinion, is that Trevor Lawrence is likely, I would say likely, maybe highly likely, to get hurt and be out. So I get it. You want him to play. I want to watch him play, but not at the expense of an injury, not at the expense of his career. You bang up your shoulder bad enough, something like that. I would prefer to see Trevor Lawrence sit this season, Jacksonville stink it up, as I said yesterday, and get him some help. Get him some help. (803-450-0086), 803-450-0086. Edward's all in on the program, so much so that he even shared the show. Edward, I bet your elementary school teachers are not surprised that you would do such a thing. Oh, Miss Smith in fourth grade. Yep, Swanny. She said, sit down. I never could. Edward shared the program. Thank you, Edward. We got Esley also hanging out with us. We'll get to Esley's comments coming up. Actually, I'll put it up real quick because we got a lengthy segment with Brett Ciancia, Pick Six previews coming up. Esley said, if that offensive line doesn't get better, Trevor's chances of getting hurt is a real possibility. Right. And you said that before I said it. Boom goes the dynamite. Esley, you're all over it. You can hardly protect him with the offensive line. The safest place for Trevor Lawrence this season is standing by Urban Meyer. And then next year, let's go get some offensive linemen and let's get after it. Not too difficult, in my opinion. All right, we've actually got Power 5 college football coming up this weekend, and our buddy Brett Ciancia, Pick Six Previews, joins us on Wednesday afternoons. So we've got Brett coming up here on the show that shakes the Southland. Again, you're locked in to Clemson Sports Talk. Make sure you stay with us and say a silent prayer that we don't get cow herd when we come back.